Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Stephen, aka the Irish Whiskey Nerd, and for today's video, it's going to be the first installment in a new series on my channel that I'm calling Whiskey County by County. The first installment is going to be about the Thoroughbred County, the Shortgrass County, or the Lily Whites, otherwise known as County Kildare. Kildare is Ireland's 9th smallest county and is located on the eastern side of Ireland. Kildare is the county of horse racing, Newbridge Silver, St. Bridget and barley. Kildare is not the first county you think of when you think of whiskey in Ireland, but it does play a crucial role in whiskey production. Southern Kildare, predominantly around Athy, is dedicated to tillage farming, taking up about 60% of all agricultural land. Athy is also home to Ireland's largest and oldest malting facility, Minch Malt, which provides barley and other grains to the vast majority of breweries and distilleries throughout Ireland. Kildare has a long, rich whiskey heritage. The earliest records of whiskey distilling in Kildare dates back to 1782. It is very likely that distilling was taking place here long before then, but we have no written records of distilling before 1782. Distilling would have taken place in several towns throughout the county, but there are 4 towns in particular that have a long distilling history: Sallins, Leixlip, Monasterevin and Kilcock. For the purpose of this video, I'm only going to be taking a look at the whiskey history of Leixlip and Monasterevin. Leixlip is often associated with the famous Guinness family, as Arthur Guinness, the founder of St. James's Gate in Dublin, and his younger brother Richard Guinness opened their first brewery there in 1756. In 1759, Arthur Guinness went to St. James's Gate and left the brewery in possession of his brother Richard. So it doesn't come as a surprise that Richard Guinness was registered for having a still in 1782. Richard also owned a local inn called the Salmon Leap Inn, which still exists to this very day, and he likely used this inn to sell his spirits and beer. By 1796, he wasn't listed as owning a still anymore, and by 1803, his brewery had closed in Leixlip as well. After 1803, distilling disappeared in Leixlip for about 20 years, until Thomas O'Donnell opened the Rye Vale Distillery in 1824. The distillery was not very successful, and the ownership changed hands several times until it closed in 1845. The story doesn't end there, as it opened once again in 1874 by the Johnston Distilling Company. The distillery embraced the newly created column still and tried to embrace blended whiskies. Unfortunately for them, pot still whiskey was still the preferred whiskey type in Ireland, which led to their closure in the 1890s. The building still stands to this very day, but is now a nursing home for the elderly. The Cassidy Distillery in Monasterevin is by far the most iconic distillery in Kildare's history. It was first opened in 1784, but John Cassidy was the first listed licensee in 1803. John Cassidy was a wealthy, influential Catholic who played a pivotal role in whiskey regulations throughout the early half of the 19th century. John Cassidy passed away in 1834, but he left behind an impressive malting and distilling legacy. In the last year he was alive, his distillery was producing about 750,000 litres of spirit per year. Most of what we know about the distillery comes from Alfred Bernard's book, The Whiskey Distilleries of the United Kingdom, which was first published in 1887. Bernard visited the distillery when John Cassidy's grandson James was the owner. Bernard describes the distillery as compact and easily worked. It had 2 pot stills which produced about 920,000 litres of spirit per year. The distillery had 17 warehouses with 7,210 casks of whiskey. When James passed away in 1890, the distillery passed to his son, Robert. Robert ran the distillery during the most difficult period of the Irish whiskey industry, the tax burden of World War I and the sudden death of Robert put Cassidy's in a particularly difficult situation. His wife Gwendola took charge of the distillery, but she couldn't prevent the distillery going into voluntary liquidation in December 1921. The Cassidy distillery closed and has sat in ruins in Monasterevin ever since, putting an end to 137 years of family distilling. Unfortunately, after the closure of the Cassidy's distillery in December 1921, whiskey distilling pretty much ceased to exist in County Kildare. That is until the Church of Oak distillery, which began construction in 2019. The Church of Oak distillery will be the first distillery in Kildare in over 100 years and is being built in the Ballykelly Mills, which was once owned by the Cassidy's distillery. As of March 2025, no whiskies have been released from the Church of Oak distillery. So there's no whiskey coming out of Kildare as of March 2025. So the next best thing is really this whiskey right here. So this is the Dingle Distillery's Láda Bríd Single Malt. And it's an important whiskey for Kildare because it tells the story of a very important woman in Kildare's history, the pagan goddess Bríd, or as we better know her today, Saint Bridget. Saint Bridget is one of Ireland's most revered saints. She is celebrated for her compassion, deep faith, and dedication to the poor. Bridget is closely associated with Kildare as she founded a monastery in 480 AD in Kildare town. Kildare comes from the Irish Kildare, meaning Church of Oak, a reference to the sacred oak tree under which Saint Bridget founded her monastery. Saint Bridget is a powerful figure in Irish culture, blending Celtic tradition and Christian beliefs. She's the patron saint of Kildare, and her legacy is still honoured to this very day on St. Bridget's Day, marking the beginning of spring. The Dingle Láda Bríd Single Malt is the second edition in Dingle's Celtic Wheel of the Year series. And it's a single malt, so it's 100% malted barley distilled in the Dingle Distillery in County Kerry, and it's triple distilled. This whiskey is matured in ex-bourbon barrels and ex-rye casks, and it has an ABV of 50.5%, so it is a cask strength whiskey. Thank you guys for checking out my video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, make sure you like, you share it, you subscribe, and stay tuned for way more whiskey content. Sláinte.